had our cake set up overnight now, so it's a little bit firmer to deal with. It's a lot easier if you're not pressing down on new paste. I'm going to start by painting Annie. For the painting I'm using isopropyl alcohol and Frosty Holly luster. Make it quite runny, because what you're going to do is paint it onto the name and allow it to drop into the lines, which will give you a slightly darker outline. So make sure that you've got quite a bit there. If you're thinking, oh, I'm using a lot of dust, don't worry about it. As the alcohol dries out, the dust becomes completely dry again, and once the alcohol's completely evaporated, you can put it back in your pot and reuse it, so it's not a problem. So there you have the name completely written. Now what we're going to do next is show you a bit of bas relief, which is cutting out. I'm going to take that down for the moment because I think it'll be easy to work on. And we're going to put the poppy into onto the cake. Right, so we've done the lettering now, and I'm going to show you how to bas relief the poppy. For this, you want Squire's Kitchen Mexican paste. Now you can make your own, but the advantage with this is it's a constant consistency, so you know what you're getting each time. I've coloured some white using the Sugar Flare Poppy red colour, and I've coloured my green using the gooseberry green, which is probably my favourite for the foliage because it's slightly off green. But if you want something a little bit brighter, you could use one of the others like party green or whatever if you want it a little bit more colourful. Now for your board, you need to use a little bit of Trex white cooking fat or similar. This is solid vegetable oil. And rub it into your board well, and then wipe off the excess, and that will grease your board. And we're going to start with the green to make the leaves. I find a little bit of Trex on my hands when I'm rolling it, just puts that surface on it and helps it to remain non-stick. So roll out your paste until it's nice and thin. Unlike when you're covering the cake, this time you're not moving the paste because you want it to be sticking to its board, because that way it won't come up with the cutter when you cut it. Keep changing the angle of your rolling pin, and that way you'll get a smoother, more even thickness. A little bit of Trex wiped across the cutting surfaces. It's not very much, don't overdo it, otherwise you'll get fat clogging up the detail. And then place that so that all the green bits are on there. It doesn't matter if the top of the petals are off because you're not going to be using those anyway. And press firmly round the outlines. And then a little bit into the middle to get the detail of the leaves, and then flick that off. You then want to remove the outside paste and anything that you don't want. We don't want the poppy to be green, so we're going to take that away. Now to get to these detailed bits, you're best using a scriber and just ease out any of the bits that you don't want. To fix these onto your cake, just take a bit of edible glue. I'm using the Squire's Kitchen one here, and paint it over where you want these leaves to be, and that will just help to fix it in place. And then because you've embossed on the cake, you've got a good guide as to where you're going to be putting it. And you just have to very carefully lift it from your board. You may find this pulls apart a little, but that's fine because you've still got your guidelines on the cake. Try not to stretch it as you put it on. And just using that embossed piece as a guide, place the leaf where you want it to be. Again, this is where your scriber can come in handy because it'll get where your fingers won't and just position it exactly. Not having it quite so soft does make it easier. So if you leave it just for maybe 5 minutes or so to firm up, that might just help. Okay, so for the poppy part, again, just a little bit of Trex on your board and wipe it off to make sure that it's going to stick. And then roll it out, trying to keep it as evenly as you can. Until it's the thickness you need. Nice and fine. Bit of Trex on all the cutting edges again. It's as well to do the leaves as well because they might just get in there, but you're actually only cutting the poppy this time. Go right round the outline, but don't worry about pressing the inside because we're going to do some petals over the top. Then flick it off, and as we did with the leaves, get rid of the excess paste. Actually, before I do, I'm going to do a bit of decoupage on this, so I'm going to cut my other petal, which I want one for the front. So I might as well do that while I've got plenty of paste there. So we're going to take out one whole poppy and just that one extra leaf, petal should I say. Put that back under cover so it doesn't dry out. Again, ideally it's a good idea just to leave it for a few seconds to stiffen up before you do this because it makes it a bit easier. But lift it from the board slowly and carefully, and then before you take it off completely, a bit of glue around the poppy area just to keep it in position. Again, you may find this breaks up, but don't worry about it because you can easily make sure it goes in the right place because we've done the decoupage on it, the embossing on it. Right, before we put the other petal on, we're going to do the centre. I'm taking a little bit of black paste. Of all of them, black is definitely worth buying as a pre-coloured paste. It's a lot better if you're using a very dark colour. They do things like Celebration, the ivory colours. It's not a huge range, but it is good if you can get them pre-coloured because they do tend to soften up when you mix the colour in yourself. You can cut it into small pieces and actually freeze it as long as you put it in airtight bags, so it still works out very economic as well. Now all I want for this bit is just the centre of the poppy. So I'm pressing hard in the centre this time. stand out. We're going to take a very tiny bit of white here, and this also will blend it with your other design. Bit of grease again, take that centre, and this time all I'm taking off is that very top of the stamen, and I'm going to just give it a little bit of the lustre. Now you could use yellow, which would probably be more in keeping with a poppy if you want it more realistic, but I just want it to blend in nicely with the name. So again, dot of glue and pop that on the top. Now to give it the 3D appearance, we took off this petal earlier. Now it's firmed up a little bit, which is quite nice. If you want to really make it look different, you can actually use a ball tool and smooth the petals, but I'm just going to literally put it on as a decoupage petal. So again, a little bit of glue, and allow it to go a little bit over the top of the other bits. And, oops, come back and smooth it in. And that just gives a bit of thickness and makes it look more realistic. You can also do that by adding another leaf. Other things you can do to improve it or change it if you like is dust them before you put them on with a little bit of lustre colour, or just general petal dust. I'm just going to take one of the leaves this time. Patchwork cutters are so versatile, you can use them in so many different ways. And you can just use this leaf alone on designs, for example. If you want a bit of foliage around something, use this. It doesn't have to be used totally as the poppy. Now once you've got that off, again a little bit of glue at the bottom there, because I want it to touch fully at the bottom. But I'm not going to let it touch fully all the way up, because I'm going to just let it fold a wee bit. Now if you find it drops back, all you need, a little bit of kitchen roll, and just lay that underneath. Make sure all the other bits line up, but let that bit just raise up, and it'll give it a nice 3D appearance on your cake. So there you have your poppy.